Hey guys, it's Ben, and welcome to another episode of the Bare Essentials with Ben, post-COVID edition. You know, I have this incredible guest with me, Bryan Thompson, who I already did an episode with.
Yes.
But he's so amazing, and we have so much to talk about that I said you have to stay and do a second episode for the Bare Essentials.
I'm proud to be here.
Thank
Honored.
you for staying on. I want to talk about more with you. One of the things that I think that you would love for people to know more about is your this new tell everybody you can tell it better than I can. It's called the Shine Project, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tell us all about what that is.
Yeah. So the Shine Project is in support and building awareness for domestic violence in gay and lesbian relationships.
That's great.
The way we're doing it is through artistic empowerment. So it's a series of portraits that focus on the light that comes on after you've been in a violent relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's specific to the LGBT community because people don't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did this come about? Obviously, you're someone who had gone through the experience of domestic violence.
Yeah, I was in a relationship, with somebody I loved very much, and it got violent.
Okay.
And I it was a very difficult thing, but out of it, I had a lot of dueling emotions that I wanted to capture in a self-portrait, meaning the desire to sort of not talk about it and protect, somebody that I love from doing that to me, to also this need to tell people, to tell my story.
Right.
So I just did a self-portrait, and I think what happened when I did that portrait is I just scratched the surface of something that has been a need that people in our community need to talk about, because what happened is it started to percolate and grow. We're up to 40 different portraits now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how did you physically take the photo?
I know a good photographer, a
Okay.
really talented photographer, and he shot my portrait. I posted it. People started asking me about it, and so the way I've organized it is it's a series of portraits with very luminary photographers shooting real people.
Okay.
And as it's grown, sort of organically, it's now partnered with the LGBT Center in Los Angeles.
That's great.
And the College for Creative Studies in Detroit, who are also doing the project with their student photographers.
That's amazing.
That's
So
why we
it's
have
just
so many.
already growing.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously a need for people who have gone through this experience, to sort of document it publicly, to take their photo and show people, correct, that they're moving on.
Yes.
That there is hope. They're moving on. That's what the gist of the photos is. You don't want. It's not from the most painful time. It's from the recovery time.
Yeah,
right?
it's about, so we call it the Shine Project because it's about that light that we all have inside of us. And I felt it go dim. And I also felt it come back on later. And so it's about that after. And so the portraits, I just curate photographer with model.
Okay.
I let them tell their own story. And so the way they tell the story is to show that light coming on, the power, the feeling, and then each one has a quote and tells a bit of the person's story. And what I'm finding that's happening is that so something that I thought was very private and very unique, I've learned a lot that everybody that's been in a relationship like this says, I've never met somebody that has the same story as me.
A universal truth to all of you that you a bond that you all have of shared.
Yeah, and it's that there's some there you all, everybody that goes through this has the same kind of feelings and emotions, but more importantly, the LGBT Center part of it is that they provide resources that people don't know about, and this project raises money to fund those resources.
That's great. I'm going to put the link to the project on the screen so that people can look at it. They can go to the LGBT Center, right? And then also on Instagram, you show these portraits, correct?
Correct. The portraits live on Instagram at To Shine Through.
To Shine Through at Instagram. And also, just to be clear, when you say model, it doesn't mean the people have to be good looking or look a certain way. It's just that they've experienced this issue.
Well, I was with a photographer named Gabriel Goldberg for several years. We're still great friends. He always said to me, really established photographer, he shoots like Jennifer Lopez, Sarah Paulson. He always said every person has a beauty beautiful shot in them.
I love that. You know what? I just popped into my head is it's almost like the Andy I want to say the Andy Warhol thing. Everybody's famous for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think everybody is beautiful enough to be a model for 15 minutes.
Yes, everybody has something in them, and that's the point of the project is that because there's a vulnerability to it. I think it's touching people in a way that I couldn't have imagined when I started it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, in our last segment, we talked a lot about your career as a designer because you design all sorts of things, not just cars, but furniture and luggage and trailers and sets and all this stuff. And we talked a lot about sort of that aspect. I'd love to talk more about your personal journey as a gay person, as a bear. Well, first of all, right now, are you single? Are you dating? Or...
Oh, she's single.
Well, I think a lot of people that watch this are going to be like, oh, well, that's nice to know. Did you, in our last discussion, you had a great mom who didn't, coming out was not hard for you. To her, did you have a painful coming out experience to other people or to your peers? Or were you always like high school, were you sort of out? And...
I think that's a great way to put it. So my being gay was very transparent as a kid. I like I said in the last segment, my mom knew I was gay. It was not an issue.
Right.
As I got older, I learned empathy for people that didn't have that from other experiences in my family where, without going too specific, there were certain people in my family that blamed my mom, saying she made me gay. Very Republican-minded people.
And religious.
Yeah, all of that. And what I learned from that was that that's an unresolved trauma on their side, and that I understand when you don't have the lighthouses or the life experience, because that I had at say 35 when I found out about this, that would be devastating. And I understand why kids kill themselves or end up homeless.
Yes.
And so it taught me the empathy of the other side, but I'll always be grateful that at the foundation, I always like to say my mom didn't always have dinner on the table, but she was good with the gay stuff.
That's great.
Yeah, she was an amazing.
And that's more important.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, who needs to eat? We all grew up with abs.
But also, when I was a kid, my mom worked so much. I was always cooking.
Yeah.
It was I got to eat. If I'm going to eat, I'm going to make my own.
Yeah. Fend for yourself,
my parents. Yeah. My dad. They're always out. I was a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then what's great about you is you really sort of in college and then after college you went to Europe and you were out. You were just like, I'm a gay man. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
And Europe was probably.
So I started at Peugeot in France, Citroën car company. I don't really think I thought about it much then. I think I joined for my first half of my career. I designed at Nissan, and it was an amazing place to work. I look back on it and it was like the studio that was a sandbox of creativity. But I've been in the industry now for 25 years, and I've seen enough of that latent homophobia that there are messages that straight people send about where your place is as a gay person.
Right. Don't show us too much.
Yeah. Well, I had a great story.
Kind of stuff.
I was talking to an executive in the car industry just a week ago, and I was talking about this, and this person said, "Oh no, I've never seen any evidence of homophobia in the car industry. I'm shocked to hear you say that." And I said, "Well, with all due respect, you wouldn't see it.
Right.
It's not, it's not the water you swim in, right?"
Exactly.
But then they doubled down and said, no. In my family, we're very blasé about gay. My niece is gay, and I told her, don't tell your parents you're gay. That's too stressful for them. They don't need this in their life. It's too much.
There you go.
So it's not a big deal. And I said, name redacted.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes. That's homophobia.
That's homophobia right there.
Just told her to subjugate herself.
Yes.
So it's there, and the messages are there. So
Yeah, it's always it always. It's weird too because just when I thought things were getting better, we go back. You know what I mean? Especially politically now, it's just the gay rights and also trans people are being so demonized. And it's just, it's a constant struggle. It just always is. But it in some ways it's gotten better, but in a lot of ways
it's like a waltz. You take 3 steps, and then you kind of go back, and then you go forward a little more, and you just keep going, keep the vision.
Exactly. Now, how about the bear community? It's funny, because now I feel like there's such a big definition of what bear is.
Yeah.
Bear can be. very heavy guys who are hairy, or heavy guys who aren't hairy.
Right.
It could be muscly guys who are hairy. I mean, I guess, I don't know, do you feel like you're part of the bear community, or do you feel like, no, I'm just a gay, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm probably bear adjacent, but I love the bears. So when they say where the bears are, I come looking.
Yeah, I think you're very bearish.
Okay,
Because,
I'll
I mean,
take it.
you've got the fur, you've got the facial hair, you know what I mean?
And she liked to eat.
Yes, and you like food.
Yeah.
There you go. So, yeah, I think you're very much a part of the bear community. But once again, I could talk to you all day. But yeah, thank you for the Shine Project. It is an interesting thing that I feel like people, I think especially with gay rights, it's one of those things it's tempting to go, oh, well, let's not talk about that. Because, gay people wouldn't be violent towards one another.
Well,
and yet it exists.
I think
and we need to talk about it.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think the stigma, here's what it did for me. It's very emasculating, and there's a shame involved.
Right.
You've been, the message I remember was, if you were more violent, it wouldn't hit you, and that's really sends a deep, dark message.
Yes.
And so I think that let's put it this way, the fear I had immediately went away when I talked about it.
That's
and
great.
I hear that over and over again.
I wanted to ask you also, do you recommend therapy for people who've been
yeah.
through this experience?
Yeah, I recommend therapy for everybody. I just think it's like if you go to the gym, you don't just go once, right? You just keep working out. It's tools to live by. The LGBT Center also has really good resources, like everything from like legal advice to counseling, but also helping people to avoid mistakes when you need to protect yourself, because when you're in that, it's very emotional, and you can and it's easy to make the wrong decision, and then suddenly you're on the wrong side of the law. So there's a lot there at the LGBT Center to help people, and they help me.
Well, this has been very helpful to a lot of people, I think. So if you're having any issues like this with domestic violence with your partner, don't be afraid to seek help. Correct?
Yeah, reach out to me. I mean, people email me all the time.
Social media, we'll put all the links in, and also the Gay and Lesbian Center in Los Angeles, or in your local community. Hey, thanks so much for doing 2 episodes of Bear Essentials with Ben. I'm so excited to be back after COVID.
Me too.
I'm a little rusty. I'm having a little dry mouth.
We all are. Our social skills are sort of like, we're like, oh, remember this? Remember people?
Exactly. Hey, you know what? I'm going to keep Bryan around, though, because I'm not letting him go. I'm going to make him play silly games with me for my Patreon supporters. If you want to see Bryan and I play silly games shirtless, I think there's going to be a Golden Girls quiz involved.
Oh, shit. You have to be a friend.
You have to go to patreon.com/BenZook Premium right now, and for just $5 a month, the price of a cup of coffee, you get immediate access to my entire library of bonus material, including my games with Bryan. So be sure and do that. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye guys.